Did you just do like an Oscars wrap it up?
I'm worried about the weather, and I had a funny feeling in my head that we're going to have a power short. So I just wanted to, yeah.
Is there a storm?
I can feel I've got a weird sensation in my body.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello there. Welcome to On the Beat, the podcast that uncovers full frontal male nudity in cinema. My name is Laura, and I am joined by my delightful co-host, Ryan.
Oh, watch out.
What? What happened?
Lust.
Caution?
Caution. Someone has to put down a wet floor sign. Don't want to be slipping in that.
Ew. Gross. This episode, this episode will be covering the two.
I've had that joke in my head for at least the last week.
I haven't even got to introduce the film, and you're already dropping hot jokes.
I mean,
slippery jokes.
Yeah, if I'm not dropping hot jokes, I'm dropping a hot deuce on someone's big fat cinematic head. So,
wow. Okay, that's exactly how I thought this episode would begin, as we talk about the 2007 erotic period espionage, romantic mystery film, Lust, Caution, and this is part 2 of our Lee-gacy.
Yeah, we're in the, would you call this the penultimate? Because this is only a 3-parter, so this is like the middle one, yeah.
Right, the middle child.
The middle child.
And gotta tell you,
this is one of those rare occasions where I like something more than you do.
I did not like this film.
So I don't know, when have we had this before, where I've enjoyed something more than you've enjoyed on the podcast?
Not typically.
Doesn't typically happen.
I actually don't know when it's happened.
Well, I just tend to have this idea that I think people think I just hate everything. So everyone's always surprised when I do like something. I hear that all the time. I
think that there's just moods that you have to be in for certain things, and maybe sometimes you're in the mood, sometimes you're not. I was not in the mood for this. There was not as much lust as I expected, and certainly very little caution.
Yeah, I will say there is some. Yeah, it begs a little bit more kind of exploration and explanation, like kind of how this. I don't want to call it like a love story, but it's kind of like how it is in how it's kind of penned, I guess, in the notes.
Let me just get out some facts.
Yeah.
Facts real quick. So this film stars Tang Wei as Wang Chai-chi, or Mrs. Mac.
Yes.
And Tony Leung as Mr. Yi.
Fuck yeah, we got to talk about Tony Leung for a little bit.
You've been waiting. You're like, oh, I can't believe there's a penis. You get to see Tony Leung's penis.
He's one of my boys. I've always liked Tony Leung.
Yeah.
Ever since I got into Chinese, Hong Kong, Taiwanese cinema, like I've always admired Tony Leung.
Infernal Affairs, right?
He's in Infernal Affairs.
I love Infernal Affairs.
He is a superstar. So yeah, I mean, I'd say Infernal Affairs was a film that I remember showing you.
Love.
And Infernal Affairs, if anyone's not aware, was later adapted by Martin Scorsese into what became The Departed, which I think is...
say it like they say it in the film.
Departed.
There you go.
But like the Infernal Affairs was a 3-part trilogy. That also co-starred Andy Lau as well. Who's
also hot.
He's also a huge star over there as well.
A couple of hot dudes.
Yeah, well, I remember Andy Lau more prominently from the God of Gamblers film series as well, which I don't think you've seen.
Nope.
I've got the first movie in the house here that you can watch. But I'm more familiar with Tony Leung and his relationship with Wong Kar-wai and John Woo in the movies they made together. Tony Leung's done some pretty exciting work with like Wong Kar-wai. He's in Chungking Express, and he's also in the gay love story Happy Together as well. And they're both kind of two very prominent roles that he's taken up. And also he's in Hard Boiled.
Also a great film.
With Chow Yun-fat as well. So yeah, I've got a lot of respect for Tony Leung, he does elevate this film a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if they utilize Tony Leung and his talents as much as I would have wanted him to. But it's not as bad as what they did to him with, when he did that Shang-Chi film. He is fucking wasted in that movie.
That movie's not very good.
It's fucking dire, yeah.
So let me just drop the synopsis of this film from Letterboxd, and luckily it's not very long.
Good.
During World...
You mean like an actual synopsis this
Correct.
time?
It's
yeah.
two... I believe this is 2 sentences, so
Okay.
It's perfect. During World War II, a secret agent must seduce, then assassinate an official who works for the Japanese puppet government in Shanghai. Her mission becomes clouded when she finds herself falling in love with the man she is assigned to kill. Now, I do find this...
Sorry,
I don't...
sleepy.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
It was really short.
It was short.
The movie's not.
The movie's close to almost 3 hours long.
Okay. I have a bit of a problem with this synopsis because I walked into this film thinking it was going to be more secret agent-like. I don't know if I consider her a secret agent. So, she plays like a college student who gets wrapped up in a kind of a resistance movement, like with a bunch of actors.
Yeah.
Right? Am I
well,
wrong?
they all have an agenda. I mean, even obviously the head of the troupe, who's effectively the director, he's got a fairly extensive backstory in that his family, his brother went to war and he obviously passed away, and then he wasn't allowed to go into the army, but it was obvious that he wanted to fight. He wanted to fight for his country and he wanted to fight for his rights, because he's effectively seeing the occupation of his country from Japanese forces during the Second World War.
Right.
So he has quite a fair amount of motivation to defend his honor, and in doing so, they do start with this relatively it's politically motivated stage show that they put on.
It's just wild, because I'm watching this film and I go, okay, they're doing a play about the resistance, and it catches on a little bit. People like it. And then I feel like it just jumped immediately into a bunch of these kids going, you know what, guys? We are such good actors. We should become secret super spies and murder people.
I think there's...
It was a leap to me.
Yeah, I think there's more to it than either they explain or they go into, but... The way these things tend to start, or at least the way that these things started, at least back then, and in these separate countries, and I think, I was familiar with stories like this in Russia as well, obviously during, like, the Russian Revolution, and obviously, before the rise of fascism in Germany in, the 1920s. It does start very kind of at a grassroots level, so he'll have been putting out propaganda and politically motivated information out there. In this case, it was a stage show. And he's probably been approached by actual members of the resistance movement who give him a proposition. And the proposition is to potentially assassinate someone who they see as a traitor. Tony Leung plays the turncoat, and he's actively torturing and murdering people in the resistance movement for the Japanese forces.
Right.
So I don't see it so much as a leap, because historically that stuff kind of makes sense to me, and they would have started relatively quite young. What I quite like is that obviously with our main character, who's her alias is Mrs. Mac, or I can't remember the rest of her name. I was trying to her actual name.
Chai-Chi.
Wong Chai-Chi. I like the fact that she progresses from just going into this troupe, becoming an actor, and then eventually she takes that ability of being an actress into seducing, obviously, Tony Leung. And this is a story that kind of takes place over several years, as the war is still going on as well. So
Yeah, 3, 4, 5 years at most, I would say.
At least, yeah, at least. I think the war has literally just started when they start doing the stage show, or at least the occupation has started around about that time. So 3 or 4 something years later, obviously the Second World War is still going on.
Well, this film was based on the 1979 novella by Eileen Chang. And it's interesting, I was reading about the title of the film because apparently it has a double meaning. So the character for lust, like, I don't know if it's the Chinese character for lust, can also be read as color. Huh. And then the character for caution can also be used as ring. So the title could also mean colored ring, which obviously plays a role.
It's a real big piece of symbolism throughout the course of the movie.
Piece of jewelry.
Oh, it is ugly as sin.
It looks like I said when we were watching the film, it looks like a wedding cake.
It looks a little bit like a wedding.
Biggest ring I've ever seen.
It looks like the sort of thing you put over your toilet brush to keep it nice and colorful.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
So, like, back in the day, I remember at my grand's house...
You'd, like, bejewel your toilet brush?
Well, no, you had a toilet brush, and then you had a toilet brush cover, so you didn't see the toilet brush. You just saw, like, I don't know, like a woman with a dress on, and you would just, like, pop her on.
Oh.
And she would cover it, and you'd be like, oh, isn't that nice next to the toilet? It's just something else that guys would end up pissing on accidentally. Because they were usually made of fabric as well, so they just soak up all your stinky piss.
Ew.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Pretty
nasty. That's not to say I did that, but I wouldn't be fucking touching that.
No.
Not a million years. It is covered in piss.
Yeah, I always think about that with the toilet seat covers. Anyway, I feel like those got pee-pee on them too.
Yeah. Also, my gran had one of those as well. Those furry ones.
Yeah. Okay, where do I go from there? So, our main actress, our main actor Tang Wei, the real person, she was ostracized from mainland Chinese movie industry and didn't work for 3 years after this film because the State Administration of Radio and Film and Television disapproved of her sexual acts in this film. So, do you think Tony Leung was blacklisted from Chinese cinema?
Probably not, because he's a man.
That's right.
That's probably not.
Superstar Tony Leung.
I remember back in the day when Lust Caution came out, and there was quite a massive stir in regards to how graphic the sex scenes were in this movie. And there's also a fairly graphic... rape scene.
Are you gonna? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching that scene, and I don't consider it a rape scene just because.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and the thing is like it's also a bit of a double-edged sword because if you say it is, and people are like, well, no, that's obviously not rape. What do you decide was rape? But then if you do, and it's kind of like it's kind of also like, well, if it is. If it isn't, then, you need to describe in further detail, like, how it is. I personally think it's kind of borderline.
Absolutely.
To me, it looks like aggressive sex.
Yes. So that's the first time these characters have sex is really rough, and I know, like we were saying, people consider it to be a rape scene. He pushes her up against the wall, he slaps her with his belt.
It's very
wraps her up with his belt.
Very violent.
But then he rips her clothes off, and that bothered me because clothes are so expensive, and stockings and stuff. He's a rich guy. I assume that he's
rich, and he's obviously got like his concubine of like ladies and stuff like that. Because he is married, but there's other women that are there. I mean, a lot of the movie revolves around these women playing mahjong, for the most part.
Mahjong.
They play mahjong a lot.
For money, too.
And for money,
it's like all they do.
It's like all they do, so that's kind of how they primarily make their funds, for the most part, is they're kind of just transferring money between each other's hands.
Hanging out, gossiping.
Playing board games. doing what you do. Yeah. But, it's...
You don't have a lot to say, do you?
I don't really. I mean, I don't really have I liked the story. I liked how it progressed. I liked how certain things revealed themselves. There's an obvious feeling that Ang Lee is a massive fan of like Alfred Hitchcock and stuff.
Yes.
Like this is obviously influenced by like To Catch a Thief and North by Northwest and like a whole bunch of like Marnie, like loads and loads of like those Alfred Hitchcock movies that he's just basically channeling into this. But obviously, you know, there's quite graphic sex stuff, and there's also like there's a really violent like murder scene in the movie as well, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, that was really cool. I did write that down. I wrote the stabbing scene and put a little sad face. So earlier on in the film, they're amateur spies, right?
Pretty much.
This theater troupe, they're amateur spies, and so
they're like fringe activists who are deciding that they're going to go through with this. They think the problem is that they are very small fish in a very big pond.
But they get found out
real fast, yeah.
Really, really fast.
Really quick, yeah.
And it's so awkward because it begins like they're going to be a shootout, and then there's just a struggle, and then the head activist director of the troupe grabs like a little knife, right?
The guy had a knife, or someone had a knife on them, and it's not that like this room is full of like there's 6 other activists. There's this one guy who's like gonna out them all, and he's Mr. Yee's like friend or point of contact. Like this is the reason why Mr. Yee is not going to meet with Mrs. Mack and stuff like that. Pretty much like this is kind of how it all sort of, you know, he gets a little bit too wary and scared of the situation. But I guess like what you end up seeing is basically this very visceral and very kind of clumsy murder sequence where it's like,
yeah,
we can't allow this man to live, so we just have to get the courage up to stab, like to murder him, so that he will not talk. And that's effectively what happens. So it's a very visceral, very, very grim, very dark. I mean, there's even a bit which I quite appreciated where he goes to stab him initially, but his hand slips on the blade.
Yeah.
And he ends up cutting his hand, so he has to try and stab the guy again.
And he does it, so he just pushes it in, because it's like, you don't know, right? You don't know what it feels like to push a knife into a human being.
No.
So it's like so slow and so... Oh, it's so horrible, but it's almost a
really rough,
Murder on the Orient Express type of thing, because everyone gets their hands in. Everyone gets involved.
Yeah, it's like
everyone gets a poke.
Yeah, it's like the end of Lady Vengeance.
Yeah.
Where they just
they're all like,
fuck it. Well, they're just like this. Like
do
this,
it together.
Yeah,
we all get a piece.
Well, the thing is, this has to happen, otherwise they are all dead. Like that's pretty much it. Like they have to murder this man. And as you know, as you would expect, the guy is not dead after one stab wound, so he just kind of stumbles around, bleeding all over the place.
Oh, it's horrible.
And then, they fucking snaps that dude's neck. It's just like he's already fallen down the stairs by this point. He's been stabbed like 4 or 5 times. And he's dying, and he just fucking snaps that guy's neck, just rotates his head all the way around so he can see his back.
It's so hard to do.
It's, super fucked. But, like, again, we're just, like, telling the story of the movie.
Well, there's this other part that I wanted to talk about just for a hot second.
Okay.
Where they're prepping, right? So you have this troupe, they're prepping to be spies, and she's got to seduce Tony Leung. But she's never had sex before, and she's playing a married woman. Yeah, see,
I actually quite appreciated this stuff.
Oh, I don't have a problem with it. I thought it was really interesting. Yeah,
because you really started to kind of get the ins and outs of, like, I guess the culture and their background and stuff like that.
Well, also their commitment to this situation. Because, I mean, that's a big deal, you know, culturally, I think for people, that's a big deal, like losing your virginity, right? Mm. And none of these people had lost their virginity except one guy who had sex with a prostitute.
Yeah.
I guess someone that had hired for him. So he's the only one that's had sex before. And they're like, well, I guess you're going to have sex with him. And he's just chugging some sort of alcohol. and just gets on top of her, and it's the saddest, like, grossest, just dry pumping. You know, she was not ready.
Well, to be fair, I mean, they have to get her sex ready, technically.
I know, but to be fair, Ryan, as a woman, you gotta put a little bit of pre-work in there. You can't just jam it in, especially on the first time.
Yeah, I know that. It's not good. Well, it's not. Yeah, well, it's not good for the dude either. It's not exactly. It's no fucking. It's no flower and rainbows.
Bad. But
no,
then,
probably not. But it's still gonna chafe.
Yeah. But then she does it. It's not like she does it just the once. She does it a few times just so she can get the hang of it. You know?
She ends up fucking the guy like a number of different times.
But then he says to her at one point, he goes, "Oh, you seem more responsive today." Ew.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Ew.
Yeah, she's like,
I don't know.
I'd rather you didn't explain this while we're doing it.
She's super committed, and I was like, okay, she's really going to go for it. I mean, this one moment in her life changes everything for her. So instead of going to school and continuing to study and getting a job, she just becomes a spy. Just by a happenstance meeting with this guy who goes, "Come try out for my play." And it changes everything. Like it becomes her life.
Pretty much, yeah, much.
So it's really crazy.
Yeah, it's like I say. I think it's a very. I think it's a very interesting story. It's just that it's a little long.
It's incredibly long.
Yeah, we were also a little bit apprehensive to do this episode. Like, this is sometimes we go into, because like I think the last one that was super long was At Play in the Fields of the Lord, and that film's almost 4 hours long.
I did not get bored during that movie though.
No, I didn't really get bored during it either. And that movie's
not. I don't know. Like, that movie shouldn't be good.
The movie shouldn't be good. This movie has got a really strong story, but it does feel a little long. You do feel like you're saying the same shit over and over quite a fair amount, so, it could have done with a wee bit of trimming. But yeah, I like some of the details in the storytelling though. I do like that stuff.
Well, why don't you talk about it? What did you like? Because I don't have anything nice to say.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. I have some nice notes.
I was talking about, how, like, her development from, becoming an actress just by this chance meeting of that, and then that leads into having to pretend to be somebody else in a spy espionage sort of situation. And I like the landscape of the occupation with Japan, and obviously the high level of poverty that's that's going on during this time, and the amount of desperation. And also, we hear more, we don't see, but we hear quite a fair amount about the horrible things that Tony Leung and his compatriots are doing to these resistance fighters as well. So it's a lovely kind of detailed, like, I think it's immaculately made.
Yes.
It looks amazing. And certainly it's shot by Rodrigo Prieto again.
Brokeback.
From Brokeback and
Best Friends.
Wolf of Wall Street and Silence fame. And also the music is done by Alexandre Desplat as well. So There is that. It's got a very good score to it. But I think we'll get into... I like it. Maybe we'll get into what you don't like about it.
Oh, I just thought it was boring.
Yeah.
I was just bored, that's all. And we could probably talk for a good 45 minutes about Tony Leung's sex face, which will haunt me.
There is a lot of...
haunt me.
Yeah. Like, he's got a hard stare in this film that's like, you kind of just want him to not.
This film has an NC-17 rating.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get onto this eventually.
And... it's actually the highest grossing NC-17 rated film of all time.
Huh, that's interesting.
It had like a $16 million budget. It grossed over $67 million worldwide. But the reason it's an NC-17 is because there is unsimulated sex in this film.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating. I think this is this is absolutely the first film we've done that has unsimulated sex in it. And
Yeah,
I wasn't
pretty much.
expecting it from an Ang Lee film, but here we are.
Yeah, it's not sexy.
No.
Let's not put it that way. It's
Oh my
not
gosh.
sexy.
The fact that someone somewhere thought that this was an erotic drama. Erotic thrillers are my favorite type of film. This is not erotic, and it is only mildly thrilling at times. And I'm not just trying to shit on this film. It's not what I'm saying. It's just that you have an expectation based on how the movie's described and maybe how it's marketed in a way. You go, ooh, this is going to be sexy. Mm-hmm. And it's absolutely not. And there's some really long extended sex scenes. And it takes a long time to get there. An hour and 41 minutes into the film that's probably so you have the sex scene with the friend from the group.
Yeah.
Or the activist, right?
Those aren't particularly graphic.
No.
But there's stuff, you can see what's going on.
But there's like two of those at least.
At least.
And then you have the first kind of rapey scene with Tony Leung.
Yeah.
And then you have when they kind of actually, maybe he lets his guard down a little bit with her, and it's not as violent. And that's the one I'm talking about right now. It's like an hour and 41 minutes into the film, where you get his extended stare, his creepy sex stare. It's like he doesn't even blink, and he's got her in these crazy positions,
mm-hmm.
that you don't see too often.
He's got her, like, squished a bit.
They're like a little, I don't know, like two little crabs just, like, enveloped in each other or something. They're just, like, really wet and they're just very sweaty. Mm-hmm. And she's going for it.
Yeah.
And he's just staring, not making a noise.
No.
It's so strange.
Yeah, he's got that.
Especially for someone this is what he's done it a few times before. They say later in the film that he has killed other concubines that he's had.
Yeah.
Because they were spies.
Yeah.
So he keeps falling into this trap. He's pretty pathetic that he keeps falling into the trap of these hot lady spies.
Yeah.
Third time's a charm.
Well, she's a very good actress.
She's also really good looking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's good looking too, so.
Yeah.
Two hot people.
So she's instantly disarming. And I guess like
I wouldn't say no to her.
Yeah, in the classical sense of like, a 1940s, starlet. Like there's quite a lot of references to movies made of the time and stuff.
She loves the movies.
Yeah, I mean Ingrid Bergman. We see her face in like a clip of some sort, and there's posters and stuff for Cary Grant movies and stuff in the film. So.
Did you know that I'm related to Cary Grant? I've said that before. I
just
like to bring it up every time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is at least the 20th or 30th time that you've brought it up at some point.
That's why I'm so charming.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm basically famous.
Well, can you cut some of that fame into this podcast so we can start earning money off this shit. But I
called him the silent lover. That's what I wrote down.
Oh, okay. He's the silent lover, but he's the hard pounder.
He's a silent lover.
Yeah. So I guess if we're going into this, we go into the sex scene, right? We go into the dick scene.
An hour. Well, I thought I saw a little something, and you probably do. If the lights are turned off and the TV's real bright.
Yeah.
In that first one, like an hour and 41 minutes, but an hour, 53 minutes and about 10 seconds. Oh God, my notes are so gross. So you have another sex scene. I don't know. It's pretty much a lot of the same, except it's a little bit more graphic this time. There's a lot more nudity on her side. There's a lot more nudity on his side. You see angles that you don't typically see, even in a pornography. There's...
Yeah. Well, no, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. This is not pornography.
I didn't say it. I said it's not.
You're not a woman in her mid-50s being like, I can't believe it. You picked up The Handmaiden. It's pornography. Because the Daily Mail told me it was.
Listen, it's just not something you typically see. The angles, I'm saying.
No, there's a lot of detail that you would not focus on if you were trying to, say, get an R rating, for example.
Like like the shaft.
You see you see the dick going in.
You do.
You see the dick going into the vagina.
You do.
You see the intercourse.
Thank you for being so scientific about this. The scrot.
Oh dear.
Everything.
You
see everything.
It's like you see the act is in quite a fair amount of detail.
I love that when everyone knows I've been doing this for a really, really long time, so I've been researching this for a long time, and Lust Caution was always on that list. And I remember you saying to me, you seeing it on the list, and you go, there is no way that he gets naked. There's no way. And I go,
there's no way.
He does. I'm pretty sure. And you're like, no. It's like when other friends will say to me, like, I'm pretty sure someone gets naked in this movie. I'm like, if anybody's going to know, it is me.
Yeah.
I'm the expert. I'm the subject matter expert on full frontal male nudity. Thank you very much. But it's hilarious to me, like, how much you were fighting it. You're like, is there no way? And here we are. Now.
I didn't think my boy was going to put himself in that kind of position to be like that.
He put himself into several positions.
He did, yeah. He did not, he did not faff around. But the thing is, I mean, I don't know, good for him, because I don't know. Here's the thing, like, this is also something that's obviously a little bit cloudy, is like just kind of what does having scenes that are unsimulated in that way, that are so kind of raw like that, like, what does it add to the story?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I genuinely don't think it does.
That's my only main concern, is that I don't know if this adds anything to the overall story. If I think of other films of like this ilk, right? You think about Last Tango in Paris, or probably much closer to this, just culturally, is Nagisa Oshima's In the Realm of the Senses, or as it is in Japanese, I no Kurida. I think is obviously a very, I mean, there's a scene in that with an egg, and we'll probably watch that movie eventually. I don't know if there's a dick in it though. Hope there is, but but yeah, I don't know if there's actually any sort of penis in that movie.
Okay.
Just because it's Japanese, and ordinarily Japanese movies, I mean, they even pixelate the dicks in their pornography. So I'd be very surprised. So that's why I feel like kind of have a relatively decent understanding of movies of that region and stuff like that. It was surprising to me to see such a level of quite gross detail on show here.
Oh yeah.
And I do I think there's an argument to be made if whether or not contextually it is adding anything to the story. I'm not 100% convinced that it is. The story itself is also quite kind of raw and real, and there is some things in there, but the thing is like the rest of the movie feels relatively quite quaint, and I wish it was a little bit more kind of twisty-turny sort of espionage spy movie, because there is a sense of danger that's like ever present and stuff in the film. But
keep on the dick scene. I'm not done.
Yeah, I guess so.
I have some facts. Are you ready? Here we go.
Okay.
Ang Lee said that the directing of the sex scenes in this film were more difficult than directing the complicated fighting scenes in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Okay.
They shot over 11 days on a closed set. 11 days. Straight. Consecutive.
Oh dear.
Okay. Ang Lee initially hired Ryan Zhang to be Tony Leung's stand-in for the sex scenes, but the actor felt embarrassed and gave up. So Tony Leung was like, I'm going to do it myself.
Okay.
Both Tang Wei and Tony Leung were asked whether the sex scenes in the movie were unsimulated. Tang Wei said, in the movie, we're just doing what we should do to have a baby. And Tony Leung said, when the bodies collide with each other, it is indeed like a fake show. Which is weird, and I'm not sure what that means, but I do believe, everyone, it was unsimulated.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Everyone agrees with that. Ang Lee said it, so, but yeah, it's pretty, yeah. I just love that he hired specifically a stand-in to do it. And
he's like,
nope.
no, this is too much for me. Yeah, that's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I commend the performers for what they do. I think, that does kind of beg the question of, like, whether it adds anything to the movie. I mean, I do like the scenes, honestly, because they do, in terms of, like, there's just a raw sexuality that's there, and it's also kind of because of the lack of, because she's gonna be this person's final destination. Like, that's what she's looking for, and she's like begging for it later on in the story when she's having those meetups with the other parts of the activist group, where they're like, I hope you just burst in one time and you just murder him, because I'm like, she's far past it at this point.
It was confusing. I was never, I mean, that probably lends to the storytelling as well and her character, but I was never quite sure if she was really falling for this guy or if she was just an incredible actor. Because you're right, she does go to her activist friends when she gets this, when she levels up to being a professional spy later on. And she does say, like, when is this going to be done? Like, I've done enough. I've given you everything. Why are you not just doing it already? And time keeps going and time keeps going. And it looks like she's gagging for it.
Yeah.
And so it was a little confusing to me. Where are you going with this? I don't see her falling in love. Maybe he's just really good in bed, and it's just like a perk.
But yeah, this is kind of where I have the biggest issues is with its ending, because I don't feel like the ending is justified. It's a little bit of an eye roll, and it kind of just it ends unceremoniously as well.
I want to just say one more thing about the sex.
Oh, okay.
Because of how graphic it is, and to be fair, we're saying you see angles that you don't typically see in a film like this, but it's not gross or anything. They are very sweaty, but that's just what happens.
It reminded me a fair amount of those other two movies that I just
Last Tango in Paris is disgusting. Yeah. That's gross. But it is. Ew. God, give me that film 30 years before, and I was like, hell yeah. That's hot.
Butter.
Not hot.
Yeah.
What the hell were we talking about?
You're talking about the sex. You won't shop about the sex.
Here's the thing. It's just that because it's so graphic and you shot so much of it over 12 days.
Yeah.
I'm like, why isn't there more? Because we also have to wait almost 2 hours before they actually have sex. And this is like an erotic film, touted as such. So I kind of expected more, because if she's going to fall for this dude, and if she's really going to get entangled in this situation and lose herself, or have a, I don't know, a Beauty and the Beast situation, like, maybe he's not that bad.
Yeah.
I can change him. Then I want more. I need more of their relationship. I need more sex. I need more positions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of wanted that to be explored a little bit more, especially over a film that is like 3 hours long.
Yeah, the main issue is that you have all of this relatively quite drawn out, kind of long, graphic, like, sex stuff that happens more or less in, like, the final half of the movie. But it appears that the character is swayed purely by one single piece of jewelry that he gives her. And you're like,
horrific piece of costume jewelry.
You're like, oof, okay. Well, that just,
I know it's not costume jewelry.
It kind of just completely dismantles her character. That she ends up kind of being a little bit shallow. And the weird thing about, some of the characterization of Tony Leung is that there's this, I thought this was a good moment. I liked this bit in the movie where they go to what is the Japanese region of the town, of the city, right? And it's basically, you go through a gate, you show them your passport, all this sort of stuff, right? And it's basically where all the where all the servicemen have kind of stationed themselves up. So they go into what is effectively like, I don't know what they call them back over there, but it's like where you go to have a few drinks and meet some geishas, and they'll perform songs and they'll do a dance for you and stuff like that. Have your own private room, all that sort of thing, right? So she goes to meet him there, and she sings a song of her culture, of her ilk, right? Which is obviously very different because they're criticizing the music that the Japanese are playing. And then she sings, she does a dance, and Tony Leung starts to like well up, and he starts to cry from what she's doing. He starts to melt a little bit, which I quite liked, I guess, to a certain degree, where it's kind of like, oh, this is like, he has a sense of, like, he does have a sense of national pride, and he has this, like, this self-awareness of being like, well, yeah, no, I'm a fucking traitor of my country, and I've sent my own countrymen, and I've killed my own countrymen for these invaders, purely on the basis of, like, monetary gain, because that's all it can be for.
Oh my gosh, I didn't connect that at all.
Oh, did you not?
I thought he just really liked her song and was falling in love.
No, I thought it was because of...
Maybe
I
both?
thought it was because of that. It could be both. I mean, it's very simple to be like that as well. But again, like, it's not a story about him connecting with her romantically. It's about the fact that she is connecting with him romantically, but you don't really see it. Like, it's not particularly clear.
Because I don't know if what she's saying to him. You know, I've been waiting around for you all day. I've been thinking about you. Where have you been? And things like that. And I go, is it just because you're a spy? And this is your job?
I think it is that she's a spy. I just didn't like the fact...
She's just really hungry for that dick, too?
I mean, maybe, but I mean... Here's the problem, is that there is a romantic interest on the activist side, and it's obviously the director of the acting troupe just before that, and she tells him that, like, well, you're just 3 years too late, pretty much, is what she tells him.
Yeah. That was dumb.
I just can't wrap my head around the fact that she's swayed by a piece of fucking gaudy jewelry.
Yeah, well, he said something in that moment as well, you know, she goes, I don't know how I can wear something this expensive out, and he goes, well, I want you to wear it because, like, you're mine, and we're together, and you know, it's like a representation of us being together.
It was more that you don't have to worry about wearing that because you're going to be with me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but it's also, I mean, he did say it's like a symbol of what they got going on.
Yeah, but it also harkens back to the opening scene of the movie, where all the rest of the women there, they all have these expensive rings on.
It's
apples and oranges after a certain point, because certainly the way the film ends, like, I don't like the way the film ends. Like,
yeah, so here's a big fat spoiler for the end, because I want to talk about it, because it didn't bother me, because you kind of knew where it was going to go. Someone's going to die, right? And so you have to know, you got to wonder who's it going to be. Is it going to be her because she fucked up? Or is it going to be him because she did her job? And I didn't know where it was going to go for the longest time. So when they have that whole scene with that gigantic wedding cake of a ring, pink and diamondy and so large.
Yes.
And this is the moment where everything's come together. You got the assassins outside from the resistance ready to gun this guy down. And you're waiting for it to happen, and she's nervous, and she's being a terrible actor, but I'd also be really scared if I was standing right next to the guy that's going to get shot at any moment.
Yeah.
But you see her struggling after the ring. She gets the ring, and her internal struggle is so loud, and he's wondering what's going on, and he's probably nervous because he's been through this before.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, oh shit, here we go again, and... she just tells him to run.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude. But I thought even in that moment, she tells him to run. He's like, oh, God, are you fucking kidding me? He runs out the door. And I'm like, okay, they can definitely get him. Right? I still thought they were going to get him.
Yeah, I thought they would have.
Like,
I thought they would have got him.
Space.
Here's the thing, is that her, like, pre-warning him and he, like, runs out. Like... There's this idea that, like, well, one, I don't know. I don't know what the activists were looking to do, like to assassinate him. I don't know what they were looking to do. Were they going to wait for the slow walk back to the car after they left the jewelers?
They could have done it on the way in.
Could have done it in the way in.
They could have walked in to the jewelry store.
Could have blocked him from leaving the jewelry store. It just looked like they were not. She didn't know who was
going to do it either.
Well, no one was. I mean, I don't think that's really her concern. What my issue is that by her effectively pre-warning him and he's able to get away, all she does is the whole basis of her story becomes a completely fruitless endeavor. And you know exactly what happens. They all get caught, they all get executed. That's exactly what happens at the end of the movie.
She sacrifices her life and the life of all of her friends and activists for this piece of shit man.
Yeah, because she doesn't survive. It's not like she's like
save her.
He's like, oh, thanks, love. Let's continue on with the fucking. Like, it doesn't go that way. No. They just line them up. They're at a quarry, and they just all get shot, and they get dumped into the quarry.
Right.
And she has to look at all of her friends in the eye when she's sat there. They're on their knees, and it's just like, we're gonna die, and it's like, well, fuck you, bitch.
It's
like, why did you do this?
Mind-blowing that his top assistant security guy knew everything.
Yeah.
For a really long time, he knew about all the college group, that they're activists, and how the girl was a freaking spy.
Yeah.
And Tony Leung goes, why didn't you tell me? You knew everything? He goes, oh, well, I basically knew you were having sex with this girl, so I was just going to leave it until the last minute, which is ridiculous. That's so dangerous because she could have killed him at any time.
The film, I mean, with that piece of information, what could have happened at that moment is that's when the activists are picked up then and there. So there's not this like pre-warn. But I mean, I would rather they were like, oh, they pick them up, and then obviously later they cordon off the street and they like prevent her from leaving.
I feel like she just she just goes back to him.
She just kind of gives up.
Yeah.
Like, it's a real weird kind of conundrum, and it's like because the love story wasn't kind of told strongly enough, you feel like it comes a little bit out of left field.
She even has a little cyanide pill that the government bro gives her.
Yeah.
And she thinks about taking it. And in that moment, I go, what the fuck are you good? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
There's such chaos happening. Just get out. Get out.
Yeah. And
even
she just sits there. Yeah, she just sits there.
You're dumb.
It just feels a little bit like, because the story was leading up to such a strong point. I mean, I like the idea of her struggling with her emotions, if they were at all powerful enough for me to feel like that was the case. But I mean, she could have just stabbed him in the chest and then got him to swallow that gigantic fucking ring that she was giving him at the jeweler's. Was like looking on in fucking horror at the creation that he'd made for her was being jammed down down Tony Leung's fucking throat.
Yeah. As
he bled out all over his table. You know, there could have been anything. Because that's the thing, like, then you fulfill your mission and you do whatever. It feels a little bit hollow.
It feels pathetic to me.
Yeah. Because I personally...
Like women are weak or something.
Well, personally, I felt like the story was good up until that point, and you're like, hey, hold on.
They talk about how strong she is. That government boy is talking about, oh, she's so strong. She's so much stronger than you give her credit for. And then she, like, really blows it at the end. So disappointed in her.
Yeah.
She was so good this whole time.
She was. It just feels a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
You know, you hate it when a film ends badly. It's just like, it's the worst. It's the worst thing.
Yeah, well, that's that.
Ratings!
Yep. It did win. So this is Ang Lee's second Golden Lion Award at Venice.
Oh, okay.
Which he also won for Brokeback Mountain.
Okay.
Which is 5 stars. We all know Brokeback Mountain's amazing.
Yeah, that film ended well.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It really did. So, would you like to start, Ryan? with your visibility and context rating?
This is hard. I might just give it like maybe a 2.5 or something.
Yeah.
You do get a big shot of his balls. Like, you really do. It's not... Here's the thing as well, like, because we talk about the sex scenes, but here's a very practical thing. Like, you know, you talk about the angles and stuff like that. That particular angle is not flattering in the least. Like, there's no, it's just his nuts are just being crushed by her backside as she's like riding him rabid. Like, it's just, and you just, sometimes they come in and out of the light and you're just looking at those little balloons and you're like, Jesus, like it's not flattering. I'm just going to put it out there. It's not flattering. And to be fair, when people have sex, you know, like, you're not seeing all of the details when you're having sex, right? So with this and where the angles are and what you're seeing, and you're seeing it quite raw and ready, yeah, you're seeing it from a position of like, there's a reason why people don't have mirrors in their bedrooms and stuff like that, because you don't want to catch a sight of yourself, like a slight fold in your back that you didn't realize was there before when you get yourself into a particular position and you're just like, I'm fucking disgusted with myself. I wish I was dead. You know, it's fucking horrid. Fucking horrid. It's such a deep fold as well. You could like stick a pen in it and it would stay there.
Oh
you know.
Gosh.
So like it's not flattering. But I will say, like, I'd maybe give it about 3 stars because this is probably the raciest of any of the scenes that we've covered. When we talk about, like, I guess, you know, dick scenes and stuff that we've done, and obviously this is episode like, this is 48.
48.
You know, this is a pretty kind of, you know, big moment for the podcast, and that we're covering effectively a fairly kind of deep, hardcore sex scene that has a dick in it. And you see her genitalia as well. Like, that's all completely on fucking show as well.
Correct.
Like, it's all very gratuitous. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3. I never thought in my puff I'd ever see his erect penis and his nuts in my lifetime, but yeah, there you go. Wasn't that a treat?
So for me, 3 is high, and I think I can go ahead and just join you on that platform because it is a lot. It is unsimulated sex. Like, that is a first for us. Certainly not the last. But
Can't wait.
yeah.
I guess.
But in terms of it being an unsimulated sex scenes, more than one, you never get a full body shot. You never see that. You never see it out. You never see it free from being inside a woman.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't actually get the full effect. So in terms of full frontal male nudity, it's not really there, but it gets a pass just for the fact that how daring it is for the type of film that it is and for the actors that are there. I don't know, just for being unsimulated. But
Yeah.
but she has a lot more scenes where she's nude apart from him. Not a ton. And it's
No.
never gross or gratuitous or anything. And I still,
No.
you know, I don't know if I said it before. The more I think about it, I really don't think that the sex scenes are necessarily gratuitous. But again, I don't. Well, that comes later. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, 3. 3 is fine.
Good.
3 is fine. What about the film?
So I initially rated it 4 because I do like the story, but I have questions about the ending, and I have questions about some of the context. But there is actually a good film in this. Like, I think there's a really good story in it, and I do think it looks nice. And to me, sometimes when a film looks really, really nice, that sometimes trumps a lot of the other kind of shortcomings that the film can have. But, you know, I've rated it 4 this time. I think probably more sensibly, it probably deserves closer to a 3 or a 3.5. just because of obviously some of the things I've just pointed out, just thinking about it just a little bit longer. I'm never going to watch the film again. I'm never going to watch it again.
No.
It's not that good. But yeah, certainly, I think there's a good film in this. I think there's a good story in here. But for the things that I've noted already, yeah, I think it's nowhere near the heady heights of the prior film that we've already covered. So
for me, I gave it a 2.5, and I think that's too high because I'm annoyed. I'm more annoyed now than I was when we ended the film. It's maybe a 2 or a 2.25, but that you can't put 2.25 on Letterboxd. So I can keep it 2.5. It's fine. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to watch it again. I'm not going to think about it again. I thought it was too long. I didn't understand a lot of the motivations. I did think that it was weird that all of a sudden these people were just going to be murdering people, which is quite something, to just not even be in war. Like, I know that the country is at war. Like, the world is at war.
I mean, the war was at home. I mean,
no, I know.
The war is effectively being fought on their doorstep.
I understand, but just to... It's not like you were in the war and you came home and then you're like, I'm going to start a grassroots movement. Like, these women are involved as well, and they just go along with it. It's not even a thing. I don't know if it was because they were so young. She was a freshman at college when this all started.
Well, here's the thing as well, like, just to kind of point out, there is long-standing tensions between China and Japan that are generations old.
That's fine.
You know what I mean?
But I'm talking just as a human being to just go... We're gonna kill this guy, and we're gonna make it our mission as a group of friends to do a murder. And that's hard for me to grasp. No matter how angry you are, the tensions between countries and the oppression that you feel. But then again, I'm not there. I wasn't there. So sure, it probably happened. It just is a leap for me. I'm like, don't hurt anybody. I didn't like this film very much. I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend it. It looked beautiful. I thought the acting was beautiful. Tony Leung is beautiful.
Yeah, there's some really nice stuff in this.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
everyone's hot, and I appreciated watching them do their thing.
Yeah,
this ain't Brokeback Mountain, and I'll watch Brokeback Mountain every goddamn day of my life if I would.
I think it's a brave and daring piece of filmmaking. I just don't think it nails it.
No, but it is interesting, and I think that I love that he did it. Also, Ang Lee refused to make changes in order to get an R rating. Like, I know that there's cuts of this that are different, R-rated, but he's just like, this is the cut of the film. This is the film that I made. There's some shafts in it. There's some labia. Like, you can see it all, and I'm okay with it. And that's the movie you're going to get. And I'm like, good for you.
Well, he used the power of his Oscar to great effect to do this story. So
absolutely. And before we cut out, and you're scaring me about the weather. I don't know what's going on.
It's gone real dark. It's real grim.
But one thing that I did want to talk about before we say goodbye is we were talking about how it's interesting, kind of the group of 3 films that we're talking about during this Lee-gacy, and how he went from Brokeback Mountain to Lust, Caution. Because it's quite different, and especially going back to, going from making like an American English-speaking film to kind of going back to maybe his roots in a way.
I was curious about this, yeah.
So he said that he was in the mood for love, romantic love, for this period of my career, of my life. He said, after I worked on an American film dealing with the different subject matter, texture, with people, polishing his skills or whatever, he said, I always feel the need to come back to my cultural roots to re-examine and also to use the skill and resources, so to speak. It's harder for me to make Chinese films because, first of all, psychologically, it's more personal, the texture is more personal, and it hurts more, is what he said. But it was just him wanting to go back to his roots and being able to, you're right, use his clout, use the Oscar to do something that he wanted to do.
I think, I think that's a clever way of doing it. Because he's not, he's walking a path that many Eastern directors have made, where they've gone the jump from their native their film base effectively to try and recreate the same level of success in the Hollywood studio system effectively. I think Ang Lee he's been successful for the most part. But, I think of, like, the story of John Woo, and he was completely fucking homogenized over the course of, like, 10 years, and he was just like, fuck this, and then he literally just went back home, and he started making far better fucking films over there. I think Ang Lee's done the right thing, and he's followed the right path. Certainly of filmmakers of a cultural difference, that isn't fully understood in the Western world, and I think is neglected. So I think for him to want to re-examine, I guess, his roots from that certain point in his life, and use the clout that he's gathered up to that point, I think he's doing it better than most. For the most part.
John Woo came to America and made Face Off.
John Woo came to America after making quite a long string of very good individualistic action movies.
I understand, but don't say he's homogenized when he made Face Off here.
He made Broken Arrow, and that is a fucking piece of shit.
He made Face Off, and that's all
has almost
that matters.
Zero identity to the John Woo that everyone knows and loves. He also made fucking movies like Paycheck, and that film fucking sucks.
Face Off. Okay.
Homogenized to fuck. And even Face Off, here's the thing.
Oh my god.
Fucking Face Off is still like, Face Off could be better. Face Off could actually be better. If the John Woo vision of
oh my god.
Hard Boiled and Hard Target, I still think Hard Target is fantastic.
That is a fantastic film.
Yeah, it's also like really well edited and things like. There's a lot of that stuff just starts to get excised from his work, and I think the worst example is probably Mission Impossible 2, where it's more about the John Woo ethos, where it's like, well, we'll give him a bike and we'll see what he does with the bike, and he does some cool shit with the bike. But then you're also like watching a fucking story with Tom Cruise who looks stupid, right, with that hair. It was also against Dougray Scott, and Dougray Scott's like on a bike with twin guns and stuff, and you have to be like, no, I think you need to, no, don't do this. This is bad. This is really bad.
Well, thank you for joining us for the second part of the Lee-gacy, and we'll catch you next time for the last of the Lee-gacy, which you already probably know what it is. So enjoy, and I didn't really know what to say for this part. I never have good ideas, but coming to you from Apartment 2B, which is their sexy, dust-filled place where he almost rapes her.
Oh.
It said 2B on the envelope.
Well, I said coming to you from Tony Leung's hard stare.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, well then, I've been Laura.
I'm Ryan.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Just say bye. Jesus.
Bye-bye.
God.